Many beloved beaches along stretches of Australia's beautiful east coast have all but disappeared in the wake of Cyclone Alfred. The golden miles of sand that once separated the ocean and high rises of the Gold Coast have been washed offshore, leaving dramatic sand cliffs. Peregrine Beach, south of Noosa in Queensland, has lost up to 30 metres of width there.
But over time, the beaches are expected to naturally replenish, which is a good thing. But the last line of defence, the sand dunes, may take a little bit longer. Javier Leon is a professor in physical geography at the University of Sunshine Coast and joins me now. Good morning, Javier.
Good morning, Catherine.
Just how much damage has been done to those beaches that we mentioned in southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales?
There's been a lot of sand movement, a lot of erosion. Some areas we're seeing escarpments of up to 3 meters, some areas 2 meters. So yeah, a lot of sand has moved due to Alfred.
Yeah, so where's it all gone?
So right now it's just offshore. So all of that sand is removed from the beach and the dunes, and it just like forms offshore sandbars. So right now most of that sand is out there.
Tell me, we're looking at these pretty dramatic escarpments now while I'm speaking with you. Could it have been a lot worse than what it is? Because for me, it looks pretty devastating. But how much can we thank the work that was gone into preserving the sand dunes and the beaches beforehand to help mitigate some of those devastating impacts of the cyclone?
Yeah, I mean, one lesson we can learn from Alfred is that the beach is the best protection against big waves. So those dunes and that sand on the beach really absorbs all of that energy. So the beach naturally moves, and erosion is just a natural process. So it adapts really good to that energy. So it's very important to have very healthy dunes and wide beaches for future events.
So how and when will we see the offshore sandbars move back to form the beaches as we once knew them?
Yeah, I guess that's $1 million question. It's like as soon as the waves reduce in energy, that sand will naturally come back to the beach. Now, when? It depends. So if we see more waves in the next few weeks, months, then that might take longer. So it might take up to months, maybe. The dunes, though, they take longer. So because we need the wind to push that sand onshore, and then we have the vegetation settling. So dunes can take up to a couple of years to come back to its pre-storm dimensions.
And the dunes are really the critical element in protecting the coastline here. What can ordinary Australians do with respect to beach nourishment and protecting the beach and the dunes?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few options to manage dunes and the beaches, and I guess the most obvious one and the easiest one is just to not step and walk on the dunes. I mean, like, vegetation is really important to bind that sand together. So the least we disrupt that vegetation, the better. We can also help by revegetating, so especially using native species, that helps quite a bit. And then, of course, we can nourish the beach with external sediment. We can build protection like seawalls and stuff. But in the long term, I think the best solution is just relying on the dunes and the beach.
You say that we should, there are some elements where you could build protection, seawalls, etc. We know that they're expensive and probably not cost effective for councils and local governments across the entire stretch of the East Coast. But how important are they to areas that are tourist meccas, such as, the Gold Coast, the Sunshine Coast, areas in Byron Bay?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, on some situations, seawalls are really important to protect that infrastructure. But I mean, in the long term, they are costly. And, it's going back to those nature-based solutions. I think that on the long term, those are the most sustainable solutions. So even though, on some sites we need that infrastructure, on some other sites, it's better just to focus on the actual beach and the actual dunes.
Just how safe, when we look at those iconic areas such as the Gold Coast, you have high rises, you might have a walkway and then it's beach. You have homes, might have a lawn and a dune and then it's the beach. Just how safe are properties that are built right on the coastline, right on the beach?
Yeah, I mean, especially the Gold Coast have done an amazing job at managing the coast. So for the last few decades, they've been taking care of getting ready for this type of events. So it's a combination of things they've done down there, and we've seen that it's been quite effective. However, in the long term, we really need to leave those erosion-prone areas without development, because these type of events will just keep coming. We have underlying sea level rise. So in the future, I guess the best option and the most sustainable option is to just start retreating back from these erosion-prone areas. Otherwise, it's going to become very expensive or even unsafe to have infrastructure there.
And Javier, just before I leave you, it's not just people who like to walk along the beaches and the promenades and protection of homes and properties, etc. What about for those people who like to go for a morning dip or an afternoon dip? How different are the water currents and tides now with the sandbars that are sitting offshore?
Oh, it's been such a change. I actually went for a surf yesterday, and the sand is so different. In our case, it's actually keeps better for surfing. But of course, all of those banks have changed. So people need to be wary about changes in currents, changes in wave conditions and stuff, and just kind of like be really aware of these changes, because things have changed dramatically.
Javier, before I let you go, you mentioned you went for a surf yesterday. Were you one of those people who was surfing before the cyclone as well, catching those amazing barrels? And what is it like now?
I wished, but I was actually measuring everything as the cyclone came, so I couldn't surf as much as I wanted. Right now it's looking beautiful up in Nusa, amazing. Today it's just sunny, the waves are like small and beautiful. So yeah, we've been very lucky. We really dodged a bullet up here.